everyone. Welcome to another episode of Home Tech. Jason, how's it going, man?
It's going great, Seth. How are you?
Doing well. This happens to be, after a little bit of research that we did last week, this is our 1-year anniversary of doing this show.
Yeah, I know. It's very, very special evening. I'm glad to be sharing it with you, Seth.
Well,
this is episode 51, and it is actually the 1 year to date anniversary of us publishing our first episode. So our first episode went live on the website at HomeTech.fm on February 12th of last year, and we're sitting here recording this tonight. It's Thursday, February 12th of 2015. So it's been a whole year. It's gone, just flown by. Been a lot of fun. Heck
yeah! I mean, this is I had no idea what this would turn into when we started. And it's been a lot of fun. That's all I can say. Like, a ton of feedback from listeners over the last year. A ton of just great interviews, and just reaching out and talking with these manufacturers or people that are bringing product to the market that I've always wanted to talk to. I mean, I've had a blast. I don't know about you, but I've had a blast.
Yeah, I really have. And, we had talked about starting the show, and we had a general idea of what we wanted to do with it and why we were getting into it. And, I think we've stayed pretty true to that. But at the same time, I think I just, maybe in my own mind, underestimated how fun it would be and how much I really appreciate kind of the connections that I've made, not only with the guests that have come on the show, but also with our audience and the people that have taken the time to tune in. Even if it's just to 1 or 2 episodes, we really appreciate it, and also just really appreciate kind of the super fans out there. We've got a handful of them that we get a lot of interaction with on Twitter, and we get emails periodically from them, and we really appreciate it. It's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's too bad nothing's going to happen this year in the world of home technology. I think we're going to have to end it here. And oh man,
things really look like they're gonna stagnate, huh?
Yeah, no, this is going to be the year for home technology. I mean, we know HomeKit is around the corner. That's going to bring gobs of product and millions of developers to the market. We've got Samsung, we've got Google and Nest. I mean, Google I/O is right around the corner, and they have Nest, and it looks like their Google I/O is going to be kind of geared towards home automation and seeing, Google and Apple going head to head. You've got Amazon with the little Echo thing. Have you seen that? The little, I don't know if you talked about it on the show.
Yeah, we've touched on it a little.
Yeah, my wife actually ordered one. I didn't know about it. Yeah. So we're going to get it in May, but it should be. From what I've heard, it actually is really cool. So can't wait to see what ends up happening with all of this stuff and all these products and everything that gets both into the pros' hands and the consumers' hands. Because like I said, it's been a wild year last year. It's going to be a crazy year this year.
Yeah, I agree, and I think. We really just saw a real trend just starting in 2014, and I think we're just going to see the continuation of that trend as we move into 2015. And that sort of segues perfectly into just a quick teaser I wanted to throw out there for next week. Actually, we've got a guest by the name of Daniel Obadovsky, and for our listeners who aren't familiar, Daniel and a partner of his wrote a book called The Silent Intelligence, and very interesting read. It's all about the Internet of Things. So it's bigger than just the home. He's focusing on this technology from a much broader perspective, but certainly applies to the home, and a lot of the book touches on that. And I think that anyone listening would be encouraged to tune in next week just to kind of get his take on the Internet of Things and all of this connectedness that we're seeing and how it's going to impact the home moving forward into 2015. I really look forward to that conversation.
Yeah, me too. Because the Internet of Things, when people say that, there's a lot more than just the home. When it commercial sensors and industrial water sensors and all that data being connected and part of a bigger ecosystem is really what the Internet of Things is all about. And I'm really curious to sit down and talk with him. And I'm looking forward to next week. We can sit down and chat with him about what his ideas are on that.
Yep, and that'll air the Monday after this one. That'll be episode 52. But more to the matter at hand here, we've got a lot of news we want to cover. Big week this week at ISE, Integrated Systems Europe. Massive trade show over there, and just been watching kind of all the stories break, and there's been a lot of news, a lot of things that I'm really excited to talk about this evening. You know, one of the things that I noticed this week that really caught my attention is the attendance of this show, and we've touched on it last week that this is it's a very large show, but the attendance this year broke records, and they're saying, just this evening before we sat down to record this, I looked at a number that said they thought it'd be just under 60,000 attendees this year. So that's massive.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm definitely gonna have to go next year. Save my money for Amsterdam.
Yeah, it just looks like a lot of fun, and it's really it's a combination joint venture between CEDIA and Infocom. So a lot of it is commercial oriented, and obviously we focus on the home here. But plenty of home technology stories came out of there, and look forward to kind of kicking those back and forth with you this evening.
Yeah, some big ones. I guess we can go ahead and talk a little bit about those. Control 4 being kind of one of the first ones out of the gate, right?
Yeah, Control 4 had a lot of news, and you had alluded to this last week that they, I guess, traditionally announce a lot of things at ISE. I guess it just sort of lines up, in the time of year when they sort of like to release new products, and this year was certainly no exception to that.
Yeah, and last week I predicted that we would see some new controllers. I was a little, more, I guess, wanting new controllers than anything, but it looks like we've got some new touch screens and a new remote to work with, and a couple of other products. Like a new thermostat and a bunch of other like really cool software updates that they ended up putting in, like to enhance some of the features that dealers have been waiting for a long time. I'm not too happy about all this stuff, but I kind of went on a tweet tirade. Anybody wants to go?
Yes, you did.
Well, the thermostat, which had the potential of being like the coolest thing that they released, because the Control 4 thermostat has been just kind of one of those products that hasn't changed since day one.
Yeah, I think I saw a story that said it's been like about a decade since they released that, and they've never really done an update on it.
No, and it looks like they teamed up with Aprilaire to make this one. And it's a nice, clean design, don't get me wrong, but my only problem is that there are a ton of buttons on this thing, and the screen is one of those screens that has like more information than an end user would ever want to read. Like, It's obviously designed by engineers. And if we haven't learned anything from Nest and Ecobee, and, present the information and only the information that the end user wants to have. In the case of a thermostat, it's the temperature. Give them easy way to turn that up and down and turn it on and off. And that's really all you have to do. And if you want to get fancy, you want to do like humidity control and all this other cool stuff that they have, put that in software somewhere. And I think that's really where Nest hit that chord, and people just saw that device on the wall with no buttons on it, and this really cool, interface where you rotate and click it in and out. I mean, that's the way to go. And I'm really disappointed they could have done something with this, and buttons.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks very much to me like, on the surface at least, like kind of a traditional thermostat. I mean, they certainly didn't do anything revolutionary in terms of like the industrial design on it. But it sounds like they enhanced some of the features behind the scenes. It is a Zigbee-based remote, a Zigbee-based thermostat, so easy to retrofit if you've already, the walls are closed up, you've already got the wire there. I don't know. I think maybe Control 4's train of thought on this is that their real target market maybe is still more of the custom install integrator channel. And maybe these things are more designed to be hidden away in a closet using remote temperature sensors. I don't know. I agree with you. I thought they kind of had an opportunity here to go back to the drawing board and really, put something out there that was kind of catchy and more modern looking. And I think they kind of failed on that front. But hopefully the features that they put in there and the usability and kind of the enhanced functionality for end users will kind of make up for that.
Yeah. And even the other announcements they had felt more like a sidestep. I think they've got a lot of technical depth to catch up with, is what it really feels like to me. The new remote with programmable buttons, I see you put a note on there, finally. Yeah.
Well, I know from my limited time as a Control 4 programmer that was always an issue. And, clients would say, well, can I get a button on here to do X, Y, or Z? And it should have been a very simple thing to add that, but they just didn't really have the architecture set up that way. So what you would end up having to do is just hijack the asterisk button or the pound button at the bottom right corner of the remote. And that would be as long as you could train your client and get them to understand that, okay, this button here is the one that does that thing that you were asking for, whatever that is, then it was fine. But they didn't give you any soft keys, kind of just programmable buttons that you were free to just sort of run wild with and do whatever you wanted. And I just thought that was a kind of a hole in the offering.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I can't tell you how many times we've had to program something special for the client in a room, and you'd say, oh, don't forget, you got to hit the pound key, and the pound key is going to make it do X, Y, and Z for you.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't think this is any better, if they're watching cable. Yeah, I mean, it's a little better. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's they've basically got it set up with little dots, right? So now I tell my client, instead of hitting the pound key, find the little button that has the one dot on it and press that one.
It still comes down to a client training issue, doesn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. And that's why I say it's more of a sidestep. Hopefully this remote, I never really had a problem with the SR250 as a remote.
It's a good remote. I mean, that's what I have here in my living room. I got that a while back when I was working at the Control 4 firm, and they had basically purchased one for me with a little controller so that I could kind of learn how to program on it, and I set it up for my living room, and it's been in there chugging away ever since. I mean, it's a workhorse. It's a solid remote. It just, if you need to do kind of those little edge case weird customizations, it's not ideal for that.
Yeah, and one of the bigger things they came out with this year is they made a symbol remote. So the current SR250 comes with English lettering on the remote itself. Mm-hmm. So volume up, down, and it says VOL or channel, CH. It's DVR menu. All that stuff is in English. And now they have an icon remote, which is really helpful for customers in non-English speaking countries to have kind of a general symbol type remote.
Mm-hmm. And I saw that they had also added multilingual support on the lettering that shows up on the actual display.
Yeah. The list navigator, they added the multilingual support, and they gave it the ability to be changed to different colors, which
change colors.
I don't know how many people have asked for that, but okay.
Well, it's there now if you want it anyways.
Yeah, cerulean blue. I can change it to cerulean blue.
So yeah, they had the new thermostat, new SR260. Actually kind of surprised to see they put out a new touch panel. And we've talked about this before. I think if I was a manufacturer, I wouldn't even be considering new touch panels at this stage, with everything that's going on with iPads and all the Android tablets and just looking towards software and apps. I was surprised to see this, but I will say that it looks pretty nice. They put out a 7-inch tabletop version, and then also a 7-inch and a 10-inch in-wall version. And they redesigned this thing from the ground up. It does look very modern. I think the design looks great. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think the design is fine on it. It's again, I think we were talking about it here in our firm, and we're like, who wanted touchscreens?
Yeah,
but
that was my thought on it.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, though. I think again, kind of goes back to the technical debt. The old touchscreens ran Flash, and these run Android. I mean, so they're obviously moving over to that architecture, and they've got to start somewhere, and this is probably a pretty good spot to start, and make that transition. And the unfortunate part is, I found out as a dealer, they have an app store where you can load third-party and sometimes first-party apps onto the current touchscreens, those aren't going to transition over to the Android-based touchscreens. So there's going to be kind of a down period in between where you may not be able to get the exact app that you had before or the same functionality that you had before on the new touchscreen than you did in the old. And I think that's always a really tough way to go in regards to, a tough conversation to have with a client, especially when you end up paying, a few $1,000 for a touchscreen. So
definitely,
especially when it's supposed to be an upgrade.
Yeah.
But, I think 6 months to a year from now, this may not be such a big deal, and we'll all be rocking and rolling, and maybe it'll be easier for developers to come up with this type of architecture. This maybe lends itself better in the long run, and I really think it will, because Flash has been dead for years, right? So there's really no way that could have continued, and this is how they've got to move forward.
Well, I know this has been something that you've sort of been hinting at or looking forward to is the fact that Control 4 is going to move away from Flash and towards Android. And when I saw that in this story, that was what kind of jumped to my mind. One other thing I noticed on the story I read about this touch panel is that they specifically mentioned a new interface for managing smart locks, which I thought was kind of interesting that they pointed that out, because it kind of goes in conjunction with a couple of other stories that I saw about Control 4 at ISE, and that was a new intercom that they're putting out, as well as a new partnership with Invixium, which is a company that does like biometric access control, so like fingerprint scanners to control your door lock. And these things all kind of tie together into that broader kind of idea of access control, intercoms and smart locks and biometric scanners. And I think that's a great market for any manufacturer, any company to be looking at, and any integrator to be providing solutions for. It's one of those things that clients are always asking for. Even if you have a client that maybe isn't into having all of the latest and greatest TVs or gadgets, access control and kind of security are very important to a lot of people. And I think Control 4 is smart to be looking to kind of make improvements in that segment.
Oh, no, for sure. And I think some of the biggest announcements that at least that I liked the most were software-based announcements around the intercom and the new support for third-party door stations. I mean, there are plenty of those out there that are, just drop-dead gorgeous, amazing looking, door stations. And we've always been stuck using, the three different types from Control 4. Well, this would give the ability to use many, many more products and be a better hub, so to speak, of home automation. And that's what we're supposed to be doing as pros in this industry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wanted to make sure we gave Control 4 its due, with you being a big Control 4 guy, and they had a lot of stories break at the show, and definitely wanted to touch on that. Another big story that we saw that didn't come as huge news to me, but certainly came as welcome news, is the addition of audio onto the Crestron Ping system. Yeah,
I saw this. Very interesting. Ping was a product that Crestron announced at CEDIA, kind of a mystery product that Crestron came out with at CEDIA this year, or last year.
Yeah, they kind of had some clever marketing where they sort of hinted at it and let everybody kind of get a whiff, right? And it was like, oh, well, what's Ping? Nobody really knew going into the show, and we just knew that it must be a good product, right? Because I remember we were sort of having a laugh about the fact that it had won or been nominated at least for like a Best of the Show award before anybody even knew what it was. But it turns out it's a very cool product, and we had Evan on. We'll throw a link to that in the show notes on a previous episode. Just to talk about Ping, and when they rolled it out at CEDIA, it was designed to just do very simple home automation. For anyone listening who might not know what Ping is, it's a completely app-based system. So you don't have to have a laptop and complicated Crestron software to set this thing up. It's all done just through an iPad app. And the initial rollout at CEDIA included shades, lighting, and climate control. And I believe that was it initially. I could be wrong. But in any event, everybody was excited, or at least talking about the product. There were various opinions about it, and I think most of them were overwhelmingly positive. But everybody was like, well, where's the audio? Where's the audio? Like, how do I incorporate Crestron distributed audio into Ping? Like, this is such a great app and it's going to sell itself. But if it can't do audio, that's a big, big problem. And I think Crestron certainly heard enough of that. And they probably had this on their roadmap, prior to that. But here we are. They they unveiled it at ISE. And I'm very excited to kind of see how this enhances the product.
Yeah, this is a huge deal for Crestron. I mean, this is, at least in my mind, it is. I mean, this product was pretty revolutionary for our market and for Crestron, I probably would say. But having the ability to tie in audio to a system like this is few and far between. I mean, we've talked about many of these products like this that are very basic, in and out, I/O board type stuff, or relays and contacts and all that, and they really don't have any audio integration. This thing works with distributed audio from Crestron, AM/FM radio, iTunes, AirPlayer, USB, and any other sources of music in the house, up to 72 zones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they capped it off right there, because 75 zones would have been way just.
Yeah, if you hit 73, it blows up. But yeah, they've got a lot. Like you listed, the AirPlay is on there, which I think is really cool. Streaming, of course, they got. Looks like they're listing Spotify, Deezer, Pandora, TuneIn Radio, Rhapsody, and Slacker Radio as the streaming sources that they have available. So they've got a lot of the bases covered there as well.
Yeah, this says 72 zones and 200 wireless devices is the max that you can do on a Ping system, and that's all configured through just the app, right? I mean, you don't really have to do much in that app. It was a very simple setup process when we kind of took a look at that at CEDIA. I just, man, I wish I could get my hands on some of this stuff just to play around with it some more, to see, really what it can do. But it seems like to me, this is kind of the gateway drug, right? This is what
I was just
this is what
that.
dealers should be putting in, and then just like, hey, if you like this, we can go all out. And
and that's what I think is really appealing about Ping, from an integrator standpoint and kind of a business standpoint, is that it's the camel's nose under the tent, so to speak. And if you have a potential client, or a client even, who's just looking to not break the bank, but they want to get into doing some smart home features and they want to just sort of dabble, this is a great system. It's certainly more expensive than doing something like SmartThings, but it's infinitely more scalable, in my opinion. And to have that option to get somebody started on a basic Ping system, and then eventually you could scale them all the way up to like full-blown home automation and Crestron DM. I mean, in theory, like this stuff all ties together, and it just gives you a very entry-level solution that I think is executed very well. I think the app is beautiful, and from what we saw at CEDIA, it appears to work very well. And then just to have that with the added, scalability and sort of reputation for reliability and support from a company like Crestron, I think makes this very appealing for anybody who may be buying like their first home, or a starter home, and wants to get into doing some home automation and have options to sort of scale that system up at a later date.
Yeah, and you said entry level, but this is all Crestron product. I mean, this is very nice product between their shades, the lighting devices. Yeah, I mean this is kind of the cream of the crop. That's
true.
Yeah. So
and when we had Evan Ackman on, I think one of us, I don't remember if it was you or me, but one of us called it entry level when we were interviewing him, and he was very quick to correct us. Crestron does not see this as a quote unquote down market or entry level solution. They just see it as something that was engineered, in a certain way that it can do X, Y, and Z, and by sort of limiting some of the options, they're able to bring it to market at a very affordable price point, but without sacrificing that that reliability and that reputation for performance that Crestron's known for.
Yeah. This is it's just a gateway drug for me. I can't imagine. I mean, I really wish I did carry Crestron here, because I would be putting this stuff in, left and right. There's all sorts of programs that I can think of in my head about how this could be deployed, and and you could build a business around it. I mean, this would be great.
Definitely. One of the other interesting things I saw in this story is that now they've also announced that you can run the Ping app on the Crestron TSW touch panels. Now, these are in-wall touch panels, purpose-built, dedicated panels that they run like north of $1,000 for one of these. So they're not cheap. They're very nice. I just think it's funny that this is sort of the direction that we're going, because for years and years and years, it's always been sort of the old school Crestron guys, the tried and true guys that have been doing this forever, have always talked about any other system being inferior if it can't be like fully customized. That's the thing with Crestron, right? It's a blank canvas, and with a TSW 750 touch panel, a good Crestron programmer, literally like sky's the limit. I mean, they're literally in there writing like line level code, and they can configure it and kind of make it do whatever you could think of. And the fact that now I think a lot of people are going to be taking these purpose-built, very expensive touch panels that were designed with a wide open architecture and loading an app like Ping on there that's very much like a boilerplate template. It just kind of shows to me where the market is going. I mean, people don't necessarily need customization for the sake of customization, right? They just want a really nice app that's intuitive and easy to use and does what they need it to do and just works reliably. I think that's what people really care about.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to our previous conversation, though. Who's asking for touchscreens?
Yeah.
I will say this: the 750 is a beautiful touchscreen to see in person. I mean, it's very nicely designed and built.
Yep.
That said, I would probably not pay north of $1,000 for a 7-inch touchscreen and just get maybe an iPad Mini with a iPort dock things.
Yeah, the launch port.
Yeah, one of those, and slap that thing on the wall or right on the tabletop and call it a day.
I agree. I mean, the dedicated touch panels, they certainly have their place, and we still sell a number of them on those jobs where we feel like that's what's needed. But more and more, we're just doing in-wall or on-wall iPads, and certainly I think that if I was in the market, doing a technology upgrade on my own house, I wouldn't personally even consider buying a dedicated touch panel. I would be looking, just like you said, at like a launch port with that new sleeve that they have that has the Lutron, Pico buttons on the side of it.
Oh yeah.
And you get an iPad Mini. It's like the perfect size, and there you go. You're off to the races. And I think that dedicated touch panels are going to stay around for a while. But my strong suspicion is that it's just really the reason that they're going to stay around is more in the commercial and governmental applications, not so much in the home.
Yeah. And I'm looking at Crestron's website, their catalog online. They have a halfway decent website. It looks like there are many different types of TSW touchscreens. Like there's a 4-inch, a 5-inch, a 10-inch. Mm-hmm. Like you can get this in many different formats. So, that I could understand that. It could be part of like that gateway drug thing, right? Like you want all this done, but then when we really want to flip the switch, this touchscreen can also do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Show cameras on it or something. Who knows? But that's what like I said, it's the gateway drug, and I can't blame Crestron for wanting to sell more touchscreens, but
yeah, and Crestron's obviously a huge player in the commercial space, and I think that's really where dedicated touch panels still strike a chord, because they're more of a permanent fixture installation, less prone to walk away than something like an iPad, and I think there's other reasons as well, but dedicated touch panels aren't going away anytime soon. I just think for residential applications, it's becoming a tougher sell by the day.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're worried about your touchscreens walking away, Crestron also has a beacon. That was a horrible transition. It's probably not at all what this thing's used for, but the pinpoint proximity beacon that Crestron announced, I think, was it at CEDIA last year? I don't remember.
It was at CEDIA.
Yeah, it didn't really get much coverage.
It was one of these stories that I felt like was the most underrated story of Cedia this past year was Pinpoint and just this this concept of micro location in general. And I thought really got underplayed.
Yeah, well, it looks like these are shipping now, and maybe it just took a little time to get them fully baked, and I'm not sure, but they certainly look cool. So this is the Crestron PP-100. It's a USB based beacon that you can just plug into any.
It plugs into like a USB charging outlet.
Yeah.
And it's just like a Bluetooth technology. So it basically has the ability to monitor what we're kind of calling micro location. For years, we've had the ability using GPS and geofencing for systems to kind of tell where you are. And in 2014, we saw a lot of that where systems can tell, maybe if you're home or not. But with microlocation, it's not about telling if you're home or not. It's about telling, what room are you in and who's in what room. And the implications for home automation, I think, are really, really interesting because, what you can end up doing is, for instance, as a simple example, if you were to deploy a Crestron system using these beacons, you can place them throughout the house. So you place one in kind of every room. And then on the Crestron iOS app, if a user walks into the kitchen and opens up the Crestron app, the app will automatically default to the kitchen control page. And that might sound like a small thing, but from a usability standpoint, that's a big deal because the way it works right now is obviously it just sort of is going to default, most likely, depending on how you program it, it's just going to default to the last page that you left it on. So if you were doing controls in the master bedroom and then the next time you open the app, you're in the kitchen, then you've got to go to the room menu and navigate through and go to the kitchen. Using microlocation, it can default to the room that you're in, which I think is a really cool feature. And like I said, might sound like kind of a small thing, but I just knowing a lot of my clients, I think would just really enjoy that feature.
No, this is really cool. I mean, it's a little bit more. It's a sensor of some type, but it's just really a way of pinpointing where it's the name of the product. It's really a way of figuring out what room you're in, and displaying the functions and things you need to do right that are relevant to the room that you're in. I had this same idea back when I worked for another home automation company. I had a brief stint at one of the manufacturers, and we were trying to figure out if there was a way that we could triangulate Wi-Fi access points and kind of do the same thing. And iBeacons came out a couple of years later, and it's like, oh well, that's probably the better way to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it looks like Crestron picked up on that and was able to put some R&D behind it and get it done. And they have a cool little video on their website, which we'll link to in the show notes. That kind of does exactly what you're saying. Like it has a little guy that holds up the phone, and they walk into the kitchen, and it switches over to the kitchen interface, and that's really cool. That's really really helpful.
And that's just like one possibility, right? I mean, from a programming standpoint, now your micro location just becomes another variable in the program, and so a creative programmer can get in there and track that and do all kinds of things with it. I mean, you could do it to where if you're standing in a room with your iPhone in your hand and you turn on the media server to go to Pandora, the program could recognize that, and it could go, oh, it's Seth who's standing in the living room, and he's the one turning on Pandora, so I'm going to default to this station. Versus if your wife was standing in there holding her iPhone and she turned on Pandora, it might default to a different station. And there's dozens or hundreds of different ideas that you could think of based off of that when you just add that one little variable that the system is able to track. And I think that's what makes it really interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what people come up and to really start using this, and the cleverness starts to hit, just like what you're saying. I mean, there's so many things that you could deploy and have work with a system like this. So very, very cool. I'm very excited to see that hit the market.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of hitting the market, looks like Lutron is really hitting the market and running with Caseta.
Yeah, I was just reading this story, and I don't know, before we jump into the details, I just have to say that I think Lutron is just doing everything right now in terms of being a manufacturer who's trying to straddle this divide between, being a traditional kind of high-end dealer-based manufacturer who sells through distribution channels and certified installers, with also keeping an eye towards sort of that burgeoning DIY market. I think Lutron is doing everything right now, and the Caseta line's a perfect example of that. This is kind of their entry-level down market solution that's been out for a little while. We looked at it at CEDIA, but it had been out a little bit prior to that as well. And some of the announcements that they made related to the Caseta line at ISE are pretty exciting.
Yeah. They announced a bunch of integrations with mainly the Harmony remote, Logitech Harmony remote, and notably If This Then That, which those two services you could really do a lot with a Caseta system, because Caseta is not only lighting, it's also thermostats. Like you can use any, turns out I found out this week, you can use any Wi-Fi Honeywell thermostat with the Caseta system. And you can also integrate any one of their shading products with the Caseta system. So I think it's really just a completely underrated product that I don't think people have realized the full potential of. It also, with the Pro, what do they call it? The Home Bridge Pro?
Smart Bridge Pro.
You're going to have to, that's the one you have to get to do like any major integrations with, third-party controllers like Control4, Crestron, Lutron, Savant. But heck, the price point on that thing is like $200. And you're talking about, I dropped the price sheet. You're talking about dimmers with 4-button keypads on them for like $72. And I'm charging like $250 for Control4. Granted, I get engraved keypads, buttons on there, but sometimes in smaller homes, like my own, this system might be the better way to go. So I'm really, really looking really hard at this system right now, simply because of, quite frankly, the price points. I mean, it does what I want it to do, and a price point that's way more compatible than what a RAW 2 system would have been. But I got to say, I'm really excited to see this.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of product that's right in the wheelhouse for someone like you. Again, with a home that you're not looking necessarily to just go wild with and do like a full panelized lighting control system. That would just be overkill for you. And I think a solution like this is a perfect fit because, again, it's Lutron, so you're working with a company that's been around for a while. They've got a reputation for reliability and great support, and it's just a very affordable, scalable solution. One of the things that we talked about around the CEDIA episode was the Apple Watch, and when Apple sort of unveiled that product at their keynote, Lutron was one of the apps that they showed. It was just a passing slide in the background. They didn't like stop and talk about Lutron specifically. But it caught both of our eyes, and we asked one of the gentlemen that we spoke with at CEDIA about that, and he was a little bit coy.
Yeah, he just kind of winked at us. And
he couldn't tell us a lot, but I recall him saying that he was, if not directly involved with the development of that app, he at least was somewhat close to it and seemed to know a bit about what was going on there. And I think this just stands as another perfect example of what Lutron is doing, and why they're, in my opinion, being very smart about this. Is that manufacturers who are ignoring Apple and who are ignoring HomeKit are doing that at their own peril. And I think Lutron is very smart to be keeping their eyes open in that direction. Like you alluded to, the If This Then That channel, I think, is interesting. The integration with Logitech Harmony Home. They also announced at ISE that they're going to be integrating with AT&T's Digital Life. So that's AT&T's, like monthly subscription-based like home technology solution. And they've also got the integration with the Staples Connect, which we've talked about on a number of occasions. Lutron just seems to be everywhere right now.
Yeah, and I was actually talking to somebody about it this week, just to get more information on it. It is extremely Pico based. So they have this product called Pico, Pico, and those are their little 4-5 button keypads that they use to control things, and you can program those keypads to do different things. But the Pico line is actually, it actually runs the gamut. So you could take a Pico controller and use it in just about every single product line they have. It runs all the way from Caseta to the Raw 2 product line, which is a step up, and wireless lighting control system. And then it runs all the way up to the QS, full-blown, HomeWorks automation, lighting automated system. So it also works on all their shading. So there is a small, not full, but a small upgrade path. If you started off with a Caseta system, you'd have to swap out all your dimmers and everything, but you could keep your Pico keypads and move into a Raw 2 system if you wanted to, for whatever reason. And I think that's kind of smart. I mean, it really does unify the entire line, and maybe we'll see more come out of the Pico remotes in the future.
I certainly look forward to it. They've been one to watch in 2014, and I don't think 2015 will be any different.
Nope, not at all. So you want to talk about some layer cake?
That sounds delicious.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah, HD Anywhere. We had, actually, I should say you had Chris Pinder on the show recently. I was not able to join in that interview, regrettably. It was a great conversation. Really enjoyed the episode. And again, we can toss a link to that up in the show notes at HomeTech.fm. And this, if I recall correctly, Seth, was a story that actually broke on HomeTech.
Yeah, I think they had kind of alluded to it in some online postings, but Chris really laid out the details of what Layer Cake was going to be right here on HomeTech. So yeah, it was a really cool interview.
Yeah, and it is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's HD Anywhere's entry into the audio switching world. So HD Anywhere has long been known for very high quality HDMI and HD-based matrices. So they do, video AV video switching essentially, and the quality of their product is really well known, and they're very popular amongst the integrators that use them. Seem to really get behind them. They've got a very loyal dealer base, and it seems like a company that certainly engenders a lot of that amongst their dealers. Just a very loyal following, and I think they were encouraged to and listened to their dealers, and now they're entered into the audio switching world, and this product looks very cool. I watched a video on it that we'll include in the show notes. That man, this thing just looks awesome. Yeah,
I wish I had a house big enough to put this in. Holy cow, it looks amazing. Like, the look of it is amazing. Like, if I saw that sitting in somebody's rack, I'd just say, I want that. Give me that. I don't care.
I don't care what it does. It just looks cool.
I want to see if Chris can just send me some of the grills. Just nothing behind it. Just the grills.
Just send me
front.
The grill.
Yeah.
No, they're really known for that industrial design factor, which is kind of rare in the professional integration market. But I think definitely for a lot of clients that adds value. Like I do a lot of projects where, not the majority, but I do enough of them to see the value in it, where clients sort of are into the technology, right? They want to show off the rack. They want the rack to sort of be a showpiece, and they want to see all the cool equipment in there and the blinking lights, what have you. And I think a product like this really fits into those sort of installations very well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this thing is it's very, very nice looking, but it also, it's a 12 by 12 audio matrix and a matching 8-zone amplifier. From what I understand, I really want to take a look at this a little bit more, but from what I understand, what Chris was telling me is that it has it's a 2.1 system. So it has left and right and stereo out, and then it also has a subwoofer output. So you could go bring the LFE channel or the low frequency effect channel or low frequencies to a sub and put it in the room. And I think that's sorely missed in most home audio systems, right? Like,
yeah,
you put this 6 to 8 inch speakers in, and they really just don't do music justice. Yeah, if you put a sub in, you can hide it in the room, and man, that really makes your home audio system sing. If you can do it, I'd highly recommend doing it, because everywhere I've ever put in a subwoofer just to round out the whole house audio music experience, those are the rooms the clients always love to just gather in and play music in.
Yeah, definitely. I actually don't know all the details, but I do know that in the video I watched, Chris did allude to that 2.1 setup, and it sounds like it's an option in some way. So I don't know if that's when you order the piece or if it's a card-based thing where you can swap, output cards or whatever. But they give you the option essentially to do just, normal stereo 2-channel or 2.1 if you want to add a subwoofer to a room, which is a very nice feature on an audio switcher. A lot of times when we have to add a subwoofer into a room that's doing just stereo distributed audio, we're kind of working around, using Y adapters and crossovers or whatever to kind of make it work. And just having this ability built into the chassis, I think is really smart. It accepts, RCA, digital coax, optical, HDMI as well, and it can down mix to 2-channel stereo. So that's also a nice feature, because a lot of times we work in homes where we're doing distributed video and distributed audio, and we want to be able to take an HDMI source, and you may need to route that HDMI with full 5.1 into certain zones, but then you have other zones where it's just 2-channel stereo, and not having that ability to down mix that 5.1 into 2-channel can be very, crippling when it comes to system design. And so I think that's great that they've given that option as well. Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those things, like we talked last week, I think, about just that power being, something handy to have in the toolbox. This is definitely something handy to have in a toolbox that could fit a number of installs that you'd have as a dealer. It has all 3 pieces of the layer cake. It's an 8x8 video matrix, 12x12 audio matrix, and an 8-zone power amplifier. Just start putting this stuff in the rack, because man, holy cow, does it look good.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to point that out, that part of this layer cake system is also video switching. It's not exclusively an audio product. They've got an integrated video switcher as well.
Yeah, and it looks like it works with, it's saying other layer cake packages will use existing HD Anywhere M-Hub, M-Hub 4K, and the modular HDMI matrices. So it's definitely an entire ecosystem built around this idea of layer cakes, and I like cakes. So
cool looking product. Little tangent I saw in the story. They actually pointed out that at launch the Neo remote, which we've talked about on a number of occasions, we're trying to get those guys on the show. Hopefully they're listening and maybe will be inspired to come on and join us soon. They've raised I think at this time over $1.5 million on Kickstarter for this little handheld remote to kind of control the media room. Control your living room, TVs, what have you. And HD Anywhere actually announced as part of this story that at the launch of the Neo remote, they will have a driver put together where you can use that Neo remote to control your HD Anywhere system over IP. So that was kind of an interesting tangent.
Yeah, that is so cool. I mean, I really want to check this Neo remote out. And they only raised, $1.5 million over what they actually needed. They were trying to get $50,000, and they ended up raising.
Just incredible.
Yeah. So really cool. I'm wishing the best of luck to them, because I don't think, if that's what they were looking for, I don't think they knew what they were walking into and getting that many orders. I mean, that's going to be hard to ramp up and service that many people, and that kind of demand. So I wish them the best of luck, because that is going to be one tough thing to do, and I hope they pull it off, because I really like the look of this remote.
Very, very cool story. I wish them the best as well. Back to ISE news. One final story that I wanted to close on tonight, and it's not necessarily being pitched as a solution for the home. This is very much being shown as a solution for like retail and commercial installations, but it's this transparent OLED technology, and this is just amazing. This is like, I think the coolest thing at ISE this year, at least that I've seen, is this technology. And even though it's not being pitched for the home, I can see use cases for it for sure, especially in, you know, some of the higher end homes that I do. And you got to see the video of this. We'll include the video in the show notes.
Oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I don't even know how to explain this. Like, it's so it looks like they have backlit an LCD screen display, but that's not how OLED works. Right, the screen actually emits the light.
Yeah. So I could take a crack at this. So the whole thing about OLED that makes it, you know, a unique technology is that when you look at an OLED screen, the pixels that you see are actually producing the light, versus a LCD screen or an LED screen that we're seeing now, where it's actually backlit. So there's a separate light behind the pixels, and then the pixels have little shutters on them that open and close to control the color. Well, what makes that interesting is that when you use an OLED, because you don't need a backlight, they're actually coming out now with displays where it can literally go completely transparent. So it looks like you're looking through a window. And so the main application that they are pitching this for would be retail. If you had a case that you were displaying, sunglasses in, it would be a simple example. You could have this be clear so you could see through on the sunglass, see through and see the different sunglasses behind the glass. But then you could overlay different graphics or pricing information or specials or maybe cool videos or whatever you want over that. And so then you see picture on the screen, but when they want it to, it can go completely clear. And so the videos just say it all. I mean, it just it blows your mind.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to make it into a house. Someone's house will have this, right? Like you and I will see this in someone's house. This is crazy. I'd love to have something like this. In my house, if I were to do this, I'd have a window that looked out to my garage with all my Teslas lined up in there, and it would display the charging levels on each one of them, and the temperature outside. And oh man, this is so cool. This is going to end up in the house somehow, and maybe take a decade or two, but holy cow, that's cool.
Yeah, I could see, use cases where this is like your kitchen window, right? And you're looking out the window, and then you could overlay weather information or traffic information. I mean, this is really very futuristic sounding stuff, but they're doing it. I mean, it's
right
out
here.
there.
Yeah. No, this is 2015. You're the hoverboard, so
yeah, exactly.
We've got stuff like this.
I should point out that I believe the two stories that I saw about this at ISE were one from Planar and one from LG. And I do believe that both of those are prototypes. It's not a product that's shipping yet, but again, a very exciting, just something I thought was too cool not to share.
No, I'm glad you did, because I didn't see this. I think I saw a tweet about it, but I didn't click it or anything. I just kind of let it fly by, and wow, I'm regretting that I didn't see this earlier, because man, that's amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool. Gets the wheels turning anyways, so wanted to share that, and people can check out the video at HomeTech.fm/shows/51. We would encourage them to stop by the website. Anyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you spending the time with us. Just to tune into HomeTech, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, it's been 1 year since we launched our first episode, and we've had a lot of fun and really just appreciate it. And would love to hear from people. If you want to stop by Twitter at HomeTech Podcast or HomeTech.fm/feedback, we got a forum there, and you can let us know how we're doing.
Yep. Happy birthday, HomeTech.
Indeed. All right, Seth. Well, I enjoyed the episode, and I will talk to you next week.
Yep. Have a good one, Jason.
All right. Take care.